Right, we're going to finish on a somewhat strange note. No, never mind. I didn't realize there was going to be this many people here. I thought it was going to only be like a small handful of people that I could reasonably overpower, because I'm taking a big chance here, a really big chance of showing what is contained inside this simple box. It is my most valued and treasured of all possessions. And when you cast your eyes on it, you will covet it for your very selves. But remember at all times, ladies and gentlemen, what you see in this box is mine. And I can probably still take out a good number. So prepare yourselves as you gaze with awe and wonder on the marvel that is this! I recognize facetious applause when I hear it. You don't have a clue. You should, though. It's going to be on neck trips. It's already on neck trips. Because this is the very cord which once held the legendary Gordian knot. I can tell by your overwhelming lack of awe. You know the tale of this knot. So allow me to elucidate. The Gordian knot is a relic of the ancients, believed to be tied eons ago by none other than King Gordias himself. It was so intricately woven, tightly bound, that the removal from the cord was believed by all to be an impossibility. Now, it's generally the case of legendary artifacts of this ilk, such as swords stuck into stones and rings of all power and such. The Gordian knot, too, came with a prophecy, which stated that whosoever could remove the knot from the cord would one day be king of the world. The very occupation that none other than Alexander the Great, hence the Netflix tie-in, had wanted to be ever since he was but just a little conqueror. So, upon hearing of this conundrum of cordage, he called up a couple of his favorite armies and marched straight away to the temple of Gordias, so that he too could try his hand at removing the knot. A knot, ladies and gentlemen, that looked like this. All right, I know you were expecting something a little more complicated, but believe you me, this is a lot harder to untie than it looks.
Yes.
Especially if it's gotten wet. So, upon entering the temple, Alexander fell upon the task of removing the knot from the rope. For 3 days and 3 nights, he worked incessantly upon the conundrum until at last, on the dawn of the 4th day, weak and exhausted, he fell away from the rope and revealed the not removed knot. Defeat, however, was not a word in Alexander's vocabulary, and so he muttered the immortal phrase, "What does it matter?" withdrew his sword. They were a lot shorter then. And solved the conundrum of the Gordian knot by cleanly clefting it from the cord, showing one and all that, yea, verily, he could think outside the box. The temple priests, however, were impressed not. They looked upon Alexander's rather unorthodox solution to the conundrum as cheating, and so they called forth for a new rope to be brought out. And into this they tied the Gordian knot, which had been Alexander's quest the entire time, for he knew if he could witness the knot being tied, its secrets would be laid bare, and he would become the master of it, which is precisely what occurred. For upon his next attempt to remove the knot from the cord, he simply grabbed it firmly and pulled it from one end of the cord all the way to the other. This sufficiently loosened it so that he was able to take that knot all the way off the cord and put it in his pockets. Well, the temple priests were stupid not. They realized instantly the errors of their way, so they had Alexander removed to an antechamber whilst they tied Gordias knot the second. A knot doubly as diabolical and triply as tight, for they had 80 acolytes upon this end of the cord pole, and 80 acolytes upon this end of the cord pole, until the knot was so tightly drawn that no one, not even Hercules himself, could have drawn it any tighter. And then, being the rather vindictive temple priests that they were, they told Alexander he could employ not the ends of the rope in the knot's removal. Undaunted, Alexander walked up to the rope, studied it once again, and then simply pulled it off. Well, the temple priests were impressed not. They realized that they'd be priests of the temple not had they known not to be the priests of the temple not of, or something like that. So once again, they tied the knot into the cord and then told Alexander that the prophecy would only be fulfilled if he could remove that knot without touching it. Alexander stopped for a moment and then stepped up, had one of his servants step out to his horse Bucephalus and remove from it its reins, which had been dyed red for purposes of contrast. These he then wrapped around the red rope, the white rope, in a most evocative manner, ever so reminiscent of the dancing women of Samarkand he had seen on his journey eastward. They did a rather naughty dance. And then, once and twice, he brought it up and snapped it down and solved the conundrum of the Gordian knot by having it jump from the white rope to the red. He then was able to grab that knot and pull it from one end of the rope all the way to the other. He was able to take the knot all the way off and then throw it back on. But he didn't, because that would be showing off. Instead, he decided that that was where he was going to keep the knot from that point forward as a constant reminder of the prophecy he had fulfilled and the tasks he was to